Right off the bat, guys, I want to apologize for the next day upload. This has not happened in quite a while, but here we are, and I apologize if the video is a little dark, guys. Couldn't really get much better lighting than this without it getting, too light in the background and just not looking good. So, but here we are. Leafs lose 5-3 to the Ottawa Senators. Leafs lose to Ottawa. No Erik Karlsson, no Mike Hoffman. And the Leafs lose 5-3 to the Sens. But you know what? That's the game of hockey. That is the... Montreal crushed Pittsburgh yesterday, too. It happens. It's early. This team is working out their kinks. Now, overall, the Leafs didn't play a terrible game. Just a couple breakdowns. And Freddy Andersen couldn't really make many saves in this one. He was not so great. He 4 goals on 23 shots. As well as, again, usually he's been making the big save for this team. Last year he did, obviously late in the season, and in Game 1 against Montreal, he was fantastic as well. Today, or I guess last night, not so much. But if you're trying to find positives out of this game, the offense clicked. And guys, it's hilarious, because usually we talk about how this team, when they get unloaded on with shots, Freddy Andersen does great. But then we talk about the Leafs giving up too many shots, and they're like, oh, this shouldn't be happening. The Leafs are down 40-25 in shots, but somehow they find ways to win. The Leafs won in shots last night, 37-24, yet they lose. It's the game of hockey, guys. Look, in tight, in front of the net, the Leafs were not getting it done. They were getting their chances. They had a ton of offensive zone time, clearly because of the amount of shots on goal you had. But you couldn't bury as many as the Ottawa Senators, that is it. And that 5-3 goal was an empty netter from Mark Stone, who I've never seen more fired up for an empty netter before, but hey, it's the way it goes. Now, positives from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, you got to try and take positives out of the negative, out of the losses, right? Well, the Leafs were down 1-0. Dylan DeMello scored his first goal of the season for the Sens in New Jersey, obviously. He was one of the pieces in the Erik Karlsson trade. And he made it 1-0 in the first period halfway through. But then we go to the second period, and this is what the Leafs do. 29 seconds in, Morgan Rielly rips one past Craig Andersen. His first goal of the season. The Leafs tie the game at 1 apiece. Not even 30 seconds into the second. Mitch Marner, Zach Hyman grab assists on the play. But as we've seen, this Leaf team, once they score, they can strike quick. Less than a minute later, Austin Matthews scores his third goal of the season. Patty Marleau, Tyler Ennis grab assists on the play. And that makes it 2-1 Leafs, and we're not even a minute and a half into the second period. And going into the intermission, the Leafs were down 1-0. This team can score at will when they can. And when they score one, look out within the next 2 minutes, because this team is going to continue to fly at you. Problem, though, Thomas Chabot undresses Ozhiganov and beats Freddy Andersen tying the game. Now what you want to see, then Chris Tierney, less than a minute later, scores again and makes it, Makes it 4-3. I think it was, it was 3-2 at the time, right? Yeah. And the crazy thing about that, guys, is They showed me a stat, and it was the Leafs and Sens, to start that second period, scored 4 goals in less than 4 minutes. That's not what you want to see in a sense. And just like that, the Leafs' 2-1 lead that they had is gone, and it's 3-2 Sens. Late in the second period, however, Mitch Marner dancing through the middle on the power play, and with a great job. I mean, Mitch Marner's a wizard. We know this guy is a wizard on the power play, wizard in general, and he beats Craig Andersen from a weird angle. He was kind of in tight to the net, if I'm not mistaken there. Yeah, he was in tight, but he beats Craig Andersen. His first goal of the year. Matthews, Morgan Rielly grab assists on that play, and we're tied. We're tied after 2 periods of play. It's been a back and forth, crazy type of game, but in the end, it is 3-3 after 2 periods. Actually, no, wait. It was Thomas Chabot's beautiful goal in the third period. Honestly, Thomas Chabot had 2 goals in the game. Look, I know Erik Karlsson is Erik Karlsson, but Thomas Chabot is the real deal. He is a good player. He's a solid player. And clearly he put it on display last night against the Toronto Maple Leafs as he scores his second goal of the year, minute 42 in. And as the period progresses, the Leafs have a million chances, but they just can't bury it past Craig Andersen. And then Mark Stone fires in the empty net with 25 seconds to go in the game and ices it, making it 5-3. Guys, what I mean by the Leafs outshot the Sens completely. 12-6 in the first period, 12-10 in the second period, and 13-8 in the third period. In hindsight, that should be a victory, but it's weird. It seems like when Freddy Andersen gets unloaded on with shots, he makes most of the saves. And then the least amount of shots he gets, he somehow lets them in. It's very weird. It's very, very odd for Frederick Andersen. But you know what? It's game 2 of 82. There's nothing really you can take from it. And the great thing about this is the Leafs, they get right back into the action tonight against the Chicago Blackhawks in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, Chicago played last night as well on the road. I think they were in St. Louis, if I'm not mistaken there. Yeah, they were in St. Louis. Now, I don't care, who has to travel farther? I don't care. Both teams were on the road. Both teams got to travel to Chicago. Chicago obviously comes back home. And the Leafs head to Chicago. So both teams have trips to go. So you don't give me the whole the Leafs are on a back-to-back type of spiel because both teams are. The big, big, big question going into tonight's game. What is Garrett Sparks going to give you? They let Curtis McElhinney go, whether he comes back on waivers or not. He is gone right now. Because they either have trust in Garrett Sparks or they've seen those beautiful AHL numbers and they want to try and work it into an NHL goaltender. They want to try and get him ready for the NHL. I understand that. So this is going to be a test for him. You got to face Jonathan Toews. You got to face Patrick Kane. And they're 2-0 to start their season. Their offense, if I'm not mistaken, has been flying in the first two games. 4-3 overtime win against Ottawa and a 5-4 overtime win against St. Louis. So 4 and 5 goals scored, guys. The offense for the Chicago Blackhawks has been flying high. And now they got to play a goalie in Garrett Sparks, who we have no idea if we can trust or not yet. It's going to be a very interesting night. It is what time is the puck drop? 7 o'clock puck drop in Chicago. I think it's at the United Center. Is it still called the United Center? It is United Center in Chicago, Illinois, as the Leafs look to get back in the win column and get their record over 500 and be 2-1 on the season. But it's not going to be easy. But this team needs to keep the offensive mentality they did last night. Obviously, got to put more in the net. Really, scoring 3 goals should ideally win you a game. But this offense is known to be able to score a ton more than that. A ton more than 3 goals. One last positive thing I want to talk about from this game, guys. Leafs were 1 for 2 in the power play, and the Sens were 0 for 2. So special teams, the Leafs were good. 5 on 5, not so much. That's something you want to look at moving forward into the Chicago game tonight, all right? So you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. Once again, I want to apologize to you guys for the extremely late upload. I really do apologize. Tonight's video, it should be directly after the game, if not a little bit after the game. I apologize in advance if it is a little bit later than usual. That's going to do it for this one, guys. You guys enjoyed the video, and you enjoyed the game overall. I mean, the Leafs lost, but it was a hard-fought game nonetheless. Hit that like button. I do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below. What'd you guys think of the game? What'd you think of, Andersen's game in this one? Sorry, Freddy Andersen's game in this one. What'd you think of the offense, the defense, all that crazy stuff, guys? And Evan and I will talk to you guys again sometime this week, podcast edition. Link is in the description for the podcast channel and for the podcast itself on iTunes. Twitter is also down below. Follow up, send me a DM, do all that great stuff, and I will talk to you guys. Raptors edition October 10th as they take on the Brooklyn Nets in their preseason affair. The reason I didn't do the game against Melbourne, look, I mean, they won, what was it, 120 to 80 or something like that. It's hard to get a gist of your team from that type of game. Plus, Kawhi wasn't playing, Lowry wasn't playing. So, I mean, it really wouldn't have been much of a video, guys. That's why I'm going to wait till the Raptors play Brooklyn, an actual NBA team, and an actual preseason game that is scheduled and ready to go. All right, so that's on October 10th, guys. And as for the Leafs, guys, we'll talk to you tonight as the Buds look to get back in the win column against the Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center in Chicago. 7 p.m. puck drop. Let's go to 2-1. Let's play a solid game. Garrett Sparks, let's see what you can do, bud. We'll talk to you guys then.